Very good morning to you. Thank you for staying with us here on Global Television, and we are so delighted to welcome you to today's edition of Global Morning. I'm Uyi Agmofugwe.
And I am Priscilla Obasi. It's officially the start of the week. I mean, the holidays are over.
Right.
So work week. Yeah, and the streets are becoming normal again.
I thought you were going to say the streets are not smiling.
Of course, well, that's relative, right? But majority of the streets, I don't think Nigeria is smiling. Yeah.
So these citizens are not smiling. Why should the streets smile, right?
I mean, you just have to smile, regardless.
Regardless of the state of the streets.
Regardless, that's the only way to go. If you keep a gloomy face or, if you keep being grumpy, it just has a way of making situations worse. So just stay happy, stay positive. I mean, we're all trying to figure it out on our own, regardless of whether the government does it or not. We can do it.
Of course. I think that's the attitude we should all have, really, because whether you like it or not, wahala not the finish, as they say, or problems not the finish, right? So, in the end, it simply means that it's not so much about what we are being confronted by as it is about how we respond to some of these things. And speaking of figuring things out, the federal government is doing its own figuring out right now. We understand the government is earmarking at least 135 billion naira for election lawsuits in 2027, which means that the federal government is keeping or projecting to keep about 135 billion for lawsuits, because every other election cycle you're going to have those who are going to the tribunal, or as we say, going to court, because they want to challenge the outcome of an election. So the federal government is not leaving anything to chances. Isn't that another brilliant way to figure things out?
I mean, that's super active. I mean, I've never seen such a proactive government in my entire life.
Are you impressed, or is that a class of sarcasm?
Who wouldn't be impressed? I mean, why shouldn't I be impressed? Right? So they just know that something will definitely come up. It's not basically them knowing, it's basically because of previous antecedents, what has happened and what we have seen.
So the government is learning from its previous
absolutely
experiences.
I'm just wondering if we can also be proactive in other aspects of the economy. I mean, if we can think ahead with this, what has stopped us from thinking ahead with other pressing issues? Talking about security, which is at the front burner.
Right. Unemployment, infrastructure,
and all of that. Well, I mean, we have such a proactive government. I never really saw them in this light. I'm really impressed. I must give it to them. But I just want to see that proactiveness, across other important structures and sectors of the economy. That would really mean that, it would mean that they can be trusted. Yeah, because if we are only preparing for litigations after elections, it sounds so funny though. It's not funny. You don't have anything to be.
Why do I have my doubts that you are impressed?
Is it not something to be impressed about?
Are you impressed?
Of course I am.
Okay, you're only saying the same attitude, the same method, the same approach should be adopted when it comes to other issues of national interest.
Exactly. This is them, taking a very good step in the. I don't know if it's the right direction.
Okay.
I don't know if it's timely. I don't know if it's.
But you said it's being proactive. You said it's coming early enough. Is that not timely?
It's timely, but timely now would depend on other pressing issues. Timely would depend on the
scale of preference.
Exactly, the scale of preference. Particularly, what is that pressing thing that is Nigeria? What is that thing we're supposed to, as a matter of urgency, invest into, as it pertains to the ordinary Nigerians, and even infrastructure generally. That thing that positions us at the high rankings, when the world looks at us, how do they perceive us? Are we even bothered about impressing the world at this point? Are we bothered? Are we concerned about having that international recognition? When last did we look at putting our name at the tops and the tops of relevance when it comes to world affairs? Are we impressed? Are we really concerned about all of those things? Because I know while growing up, looking at studying and doing social studies, current affairs, Nigeria would rank high or tops at so many other things. But right now, it's looking as if it's a thing of the past. When we say we are the giant of Africa, it is looking like past glory, right? Because you want to compare ourselves to countries like even Ghana here. We would say even Ghana here. But when we look at the indices and everything to compare, we know that somehow we're still catching up in a whole lot of areas. So, is this the priority for the now? This money that is being invested or this money that is being stored for post-election litigations, what are we storing it for? Are we storing it for the current government? If an ADC or maybe a Labour Party or what's the Showrace party again? AAC, right? If AAC emerges, right, will that money be given to them to pursue?
Well, can we not wait for them to emerge first?
Will they be given to them to pursue the litigations? Are we reserving it for a particular party? These are the questions I'm just asking someone in my mind, right? But again, I would say it's a very proactive step of our government.
Well, speaking of proactive step now, when last year the issue of coalition came up, and then the ADC became the special purpose vehicle that those, as it were, if you like, championing the coalition adopted.
Okay.
The issue of Peter Obi came up once again, and the question was, if Peter Obi were to become the president in 2027, would he be willing to do one term? Because after 2027, power has got to return to the north for another 8 years, based on the rotational formula, so to speak, that we adopted over time. And then Peter Obi had given his word. I don't know if he actually gave his word, but he did say that he would run for one term, all right, in 2027. In other words, by 2031, he would not stand for re-election, which many people have questioned anyway, right? But now, again, Aisha Yesufu is coming out to say, yes, Peter Obi will do one term. We've seen this before, where, they say the taste of the pudding is in the eating, right? Peter Obi has never been a president. He may have been a governor, he may have been a very good, law-abiding citizen, former chief executive of a bank, former chairman of a bank, but he has never been a president. So the question is being asked from several quarters now is, if you were to become the president in 2027, what guarantees are you giving that by 2031 you would exit as a gentleman very honorably without standing for re-election? Now, conversely, there are those who believe that in that regard, a gentleman like former President Goodluck Jonathan will be not just a much better fit, but the best fit. Yeah, because constitutionally, he's already restrained, so to speak, to one term. So it's not even a subject of debate anymore. But with this ADC palaver, so to say, I think that conversation about whether Peter Obi will do one term or not is a different kettle of fish. In the meantime, you now have to ask yourself, if the ADC had not had this challenge from INEC, the recognizing the party, what are the odds that Peter Obi would even emerge to eventually clinch the presidential ticket of the party?
Well, I think we should just keep our fingers crossed with the whole ADC.
Are those fingers not been crossed for too long?
Yeah, I want to believe strongly that whatever is happening in the ADC currently is something that should teach them a lesson.
Them being the politicians in that party.
Politicians in the party, the members of the party, every single person that makes up the ADC. Because eventually, if you guys want to emerge, maybe the leadership is already being tested. Right, being that leadership is about service, serving the people. At every point, you need to ensure that the people are happy. At least a majority of them are happy. So whatever is happening now is already testing their leadership capacity
on a lower scale.
If they are able to emerge, if they are able to scale through this, if they are able to, sort out their differences, I would really feel like they deserve a chance. Because, it's a whole lot happening with the ADC right now. I want to believe that everything is all coming from, disgruntled members that feel cheated, which is part of, ultimately, if you become a president, you deal with people like that. You'd have to, deal with people that are not happy with your leadership, people that feel cheated, a particular zone or a particular part of the country will come out to say, you guys are not giving us power. You have to, interface with all of these things at some point. So it's already a testing ground for them. If they emerge, I would say they are fit, really. If ADC is able to sort out its differences, if ADC is able to look beyond, if the members are able to look beyond self at this point and say, for the greater good of our party, I decide to step down. For the greater good of our, let this person win. For the greater good of our party, whatever it is that I don't agree with, I disagree to agree, or I agree to disagree, whatever it is. But let the party emerge.
Right.
Then at that point, I would really say, Peter Obi can be trusted, and ADC can be trusted, and they can be trusted with leadership, on the larger scale in Nigeria. And I'm talking about a one-term promise by Peter Obi. I don't think it should be our problem as a country. The problem should be who can come and fix bad leadership.
But politicians do not think like that, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we've had politicians come out to tell us when we come into power, we'll do this, read all kinds of manifesto to us, let us know that, whatever it is you're going through is because I'm not here yet. When I come here...
Just wait for me to get it.
When I come here, everything will change at the twinkle of an eye. That's what they tell us. So we're expecting that after the elections and after they have been sworn in, we need to see, a miracle. Then they now go back to... You see this previous administration that gave us power. They are the ones that caused all this.
They cleaned out the treasury. We didn't take Kobo. We had to start running the office with our money for the first 8 months.
I'm telling you, we should have to borrow my wife's money to add to Nigeria's money. If they can tell us that, I'm sure they will tell us that. So we have seen all of this cycle. We've seen it over and over and over and over again. And for me right now, the concern of Peter Obi's integrity is at stake. I'm sure it's not someone that would want to joke with it. However, it all depends on the progress. You can even say you want to do it one term, and your fellow politicians are saying, "Man, what's this guy doing? He's doing a great job. Can he just,
can we give him an extension?"
Yes, it basically depends on the progress.
Right.
Agreements can be broken basically because
or reviewed.
Reviewed actually. It can be reviewed if you are someone that can indeed make a difference.
Right.
So let us get to that bridge. I'm not trying to say Peter Obi should not keep to his agreement, but I feel like it's the least of our problems.
You're saying judge him by his performance.
Yes, let's judge.
Don't cast things in concrete in the name of an agreement.
An agreement. Because you can say 4 years and he does 4 years and does well, and now say, okay, because he said 4 years, let's give it to another person. The person comes and ruins everything.
Messes up everything.
Exactly.
It sets the country back by 30 years.
Thank you very much. So let us judge by performance. Let us see that person that is able to come and solve the mathematics, because it's becoming a further math right now. Nigeria's problem has gone from the basic arithmetic.
Not algebraic equation.
Exactly. So that's the focus. That is my focus. I don't know about every other Nigerian.
Well, I think most Nigerians will have to make that decision for themselves, and the best way to do that is at the polls when it's election time proper. We're taking a break, everyone. So much to talk about on the program today. We'll also be looking at the power situation, that's electricity in our country, what the headwinds are, and how these are rubbing off very badly on businesses and households.
Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m., Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
All else equal, we understand late former President Muhammadu Buhari's son Yusuf will be standing for election, running for his seats in the House of Representatives going into 2027. For many people, this is a welcome development, given that I mean, for a young man whose father had found prominence in Nigeria's leadership history, there's no better way to, as it were, keep that legacy going, right? I mean, his late father, for example, had not only led the army as a general, he was also a military head of state. Well, that was short-lived, but then history is clear. I then became civilian president for 8 consecutive years afterwards. I mean, what's more can he ask for other than the son that understands that there is need to stretch the legacy and, if you like, make a transgenerational impact?
Am I shocked? No, I'm not shocked. Maybe a bit, because when these politicians come out with their children at first, you just look at them as some gentle guys. So you wouldn't
innocent, harmless, no ambition.
The way we see Wike's son now, just behind his father, you just feel like he's one cool guy that just came to
minding his business, not interested in politics.
Exactly, that's the way they appear. They seem uninterested until the right time comes and they want to clean.
So you're saying there is timing?
There is timing, of course, but I mean, what do we expect? It's not out of place for a late Buhari's son to want to aspire leadership position, especially in his constituency, right? It's something. It's a welcome development. The problem would now be if he truly, or if he doesn't have a heart for his people. So what is the motive is what I'm asking. Are you doing this because, my father has told me I can do it, Or are you doing this basically because I feel like we need a level of change within my constituency. We need to see some level of development and I want to bring it to my people. So if that is the motive, by all means. But if the other case is a motive, basically because if your father had been the president and it's your legal, it's your birthright. Some of these politicians' sons, maybe they feel like Nigeria is their property, right? So when your dad is done, you want to continue from where your dad stopped because, you have a voice, or your father had a voice that mattered. So again, I'm saying that the intent, right, is what we should be looking at. We cannot see the intent right now because we have not seen him lead in such a capacity. Maybe when he comes into power, we'll be able to test it. But I'm sure those within his locality would know, because how deeply is he connected to the grassroots? They might have, if they have felt it at this point, then I would say, oh, good. But if no one has felt his impact at the grassroots, if no one has seen him other than a president's son, if you've not known him by his name, because there is a Buhari son and there is a Yusuf. So we must know you by Yusuf and not...
So who is coming to the polls?
Exactly.
Is he the son of Buhari
or Yusuf? If we have not felt your impact as Yusuf, then, there's no need until we're able to feel your impact as Yusuf, then you can come. So how deeply has it connected to the grassroots is the question I'm asking. Because we that are not in that part of, we that don't come from that part of the country may not really know, right? But we can go to his village, we can go to his locality, we can go to his local government, we can go tracing down to his, his father's compound and ask the people around, what do you think about this guy? What is the testimony they say about him? That is, for me, ultimately what would matter. Yeah, so I'm not judging by anything. I'm not trying to, castigate in any way. I'm only saying, what is the motive? How have you connected with your people? Are you really capable of bringing the change? Because we must come to that point in Nigeria where we don't have to react.
Right.
Yes, we don't have to always react. Somebody does. We can't wait for someone to go do a thing and then we'll start to judge from that. No, we need to trace your background. We need to trace we have a track record of whatever it is you said you've done, and from that we can already start to make our judgment. But we have a culture of, okay, let's just test him. Let's see what he can do.
We love this father, so can we not extend that love to him?
Let's just see. After 4 years, we now say, I don't think it was that good. I don't think, I don't want to. No. We don't have to be reactive as a country. Well, as citizens of a country, no.
So we must do 2 things, I guess. Take our destiny in our hands and then be responsible for the choices we make.
Exactly. 2027 is coming right now. And beyond just voting for a president, you need to know the local government, we've gone through, some other states will have local government chairmen come out, to contest. We need to know them. We need to know who we are going to cast our votes for. We don't go to the polls just because of a presidential election, because sometimes we do all of that, and when it comes to the House of Reps, we're just putting our thumbs anywhere, or looking for a party that we voted as a president. I think that was something that happened in 2023. A lot of people just went to stamp their thumbs on Labour Party. And you saw a lot of Labour Party people emerging. People didn't really know who they were, but because we felt, we're tired of all those parties. We should look beyond party leadership. We should look beyond a person's father to, judge their children. We should know people for whom they are. We should ask questions. Right now is the time to start to ask, who is that person that's coming out in my constituency for maybe a House of Rep, or a House of Assembly, or a local government chairman, or a councillor? Start asking that question now. And when the posters, or when they start to officially campaign, do your background study. Every Nigerian should have it as a responsibility to make these findings. Because if you don't know, people will emerge. People that you don't know will emerge. So at that point, you are just left with accepting them for the next 4 years, which might not go as you want. So this is the time to start to ask the questions, in other words.
I think what Priscilla is saying is simple. Is to say that there's no better time to make that choice than now, right? Because, like my mom would say, it's too late to cry when the head is off. All right, let's take a break at this point, everyone. When we return, it will be time to join Ramsey Enoch Agbo to bring you Heart to Heart, inspirational.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are watching from, where you are listening from right now. My name is Ramsey. Let's talk a little bit. A lot of people think the way they want to think, because everyone is entitled to their decision. Everyone is entitled to how they think. But then you have the right to think in a particular way. But then there is something I want us to consider today, inspiring ourselves, encouraging ourselves. What we are trying to achieve here is to set someone on track, give someone hope, restore someone's belief and faith in himself, in herself. What are we saying? There are things that you don't need to procrastinate about, that you need to start now. From where you are, using what you have, doing what you can, because nobody, all right, would want to have it all before they get started. If you're waiting for when you have it all before you get started, then it is a problem. So now, I want to ask a question. Let me ask you a question. How many dreams have died because someone was waiting for the perfect moment? How many dreams do you think have died? Even you who is listening, who is watching right now, how many of your dreams, how many of your plans have died because you were waiting for the perfect moment? Someone said, I will start when I have the money. Someone said, I will begin when I have the right equipment. Some said, I will take the first step when everything is in place. But when is going to be the time that everything will be in place? These are the questions we should be asking ourselves. But let me tell you something. The truth is this: there will never be a perfect time. The perfect time is now. All right? Arthur Ashe, the legendary tennis champion, once said, start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. He didn't have the fanciest equipment. He didn't train in the best facility, but he had willpower and courage to start whatever he had. You see, greatness doesn't just wait for the perfect time. It doesn't care about perfection. It grows through progress. Every successful person you admire today started small. The difference between them and others isn't the talent, all right? It's the action, the move. Don't despise your humble beginning. Don't mind what people are saying, because people will say so many things about you. Whatever. Someone said his name is whatever. Whatever you do, whatever you say, people must talk about it, whether positive or negative. If you're doing well, people will still criticize you, because some persons will say, oh, because of his affluence, he's behaving like this. If you don't have, some people would still say, where is he looking at? Can't he see his mates? Can't he see what his colleagues are doing? The small things that you are doing in a big way one day will generate you income that you don't even expect. The bottom line is this. You need to tell yourself and say, enough is enough. I've tarried too long in this place, in this position, all right, in this thinking. You know, it's a process. It's a process. Success is a process. First of all, you need to conceive it in your heart. Then secondly, it needs to get into your head. Have it in your head, or else it will never get into your hand. Number one, it needs to be in your heart, in your head, and in your hand. I call it the triple H. The triple H principle says it must get conceived in your heart first. Keep ringing in your head, then it will enter your hand one day. But a lot needs to be doing. It's a process, just like the seed. The seed doesn't grow in just one day. It went through a lot of processes. The gold you see today don't just come out shiny, but then it went through a refining process, a heating process with fire, serious fire. The gold is being heated in serious fire before it's become what it is today. So whatever you're doing, that dream that you have, begin to do something about it. Begin to mix up with people who are going your direction, people who have your kind of dream achieved already, because that thing you're thinking, somebody already has gone ahead to do it. So you don't need to just sit down and be thinking, be procrastinating. The economy is not favorable. Nigeria, this is the country. If I was abroad, well, let me tell you the truth. It's not all about your location. It's not all about your destination, even though these factors play particular roles in your success, in your growth, in your achievement. But you don't need to capitalize on it. All right, and hold yourself back, because by the time you're holding yourself back, someone somewhere is already overtaking you, because the person believed in his or her dream and decided to make a move, despite the fact that they are not seeing the staircase, but they believe that their leg will land somewhere. All right. Risk taking is very important, but then if you want to take risk, let it be a calculated risk. Not the risk that will destroy you or claim your life. Any risk you're taking, it should be a calculated risk. If I do this, this is what is going to happen. If I do it this way, this is what is going to happen. But at the end of the day, this is where I am going to land, good or bad. That's how to take risk. You don't just take risk randomly and say, well, whatever wants to happen should happen. You should know that this thing that I want to do is two ways. It's either it happens this way or it happens the other way. But those two ways should be something that you should be able to survive, not that kind of risk that will end you in jail. Then that dream is already dead on arrival. That vision is dead on arrival. So if you want to take risk in as much as risk taking is part of the game, you need to be calculative. You need to put your sense together. All right. And you just need to know that every expert was once a beginner. Everyone started from somewhere, and they are where they are today. It's so beautiful talking with you. It's so nice talking with you in this aspect. A lot of people tell themselves, this is what I want to do. They start and they stop halfway. Some persons start and one thing comes up and they abandon that and rush on the other thing. But the bottom line is this: whatever you want to do, whatever it is you're doing, you should believe in yourself that you are a great man, you are a great woman. But then you need to put God at the center of everything that you do, whatever it is. Allah, okay, is supposed to be in charge. And everything you want to do, don't succeed at the detriment of the other person, because nemesis will not allow that success see the light of day. You might be successful today, but how long is that success going to be sustained? Will you be able to sustain it because you did it on a very faulty foundation? A house built on a faulty foundation never lasts. We heard of building collapse at different times. How did it end? Because the foundation was faulty. So your success in life, your achievement in life should be on a very solid foundation without you stepping on toes. It's not necessary, okay? Because the plan that God has for you is of good. So do your best and try everything that you can and get started now. Get started now. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, December, you should be able to sit down and say, yes, this is what I have done. This is what I have achieved. All right. It might not be 100%, but at least 75, 80, 85, 90 is still a very good one. Thank you very much. Have a beautiful time. I want to see you at the other side of success so that we can celebrate together, because the world is waiting for you to manifest your success. Thank you.
A very big thank you for still being here with us. It's that moment where we get ourselves informed as we look at the newspaper for today. The first paper here is the Guardian newspaper, and first story about the nameplates has a kicker report. Banditry weakening Nigeria's state structure, and that detail is right there on page 3. Makinde Momodu raised concern over devolution into one-party state. Details on page 3. Reconciliation has collapsed in PDP, says ex-chieftain, and that detail is on page 3. The Star story has a kicker, 10 months to election. Opposition fights to stay on the ballot amid legal internal conflicts. On page 6 is where you see that headline, that detail. Next story, Obi's team alleges plot against 2027 candidacy as presidency kicks. On page 4 is right where those details are. Audit links multi-billion naira abuse to Old Union Bank management. Details on page 18. World Health Day. Concerns over health funding, sustainability as U.S. exits leaves $1.9 billion deficit. On page 6 is where you find that detail. Bandits plan reprisals in Zamfara and Plateau. Benue death toll rises. Okay, bandits plan reprisals in Zamfara as Plateau, Benue death toll rises. Details on page 30. Tax denominates federal revenue as all income declines by 26% in 15 years. Details on page 15. Finally, Inter-Society claims 1,402 Nigerian Christians killed in 96 days. Details on page 7. And those are your headlines for the Guardian newspaper. Read up details to get yourself informed. Next point of call would be the Daily Trust.
All right, so top left corner first here says X-raying 3.3 trillion naira debt payment to power sector. How student was stabbed to death in Niger University, right? On page 34. Despite hunger, Nigeria named Africa's top food waster. That's quite an irony. And the other day, we were talking about how that we need to maximize food and cut down on waste. But ironically, even with the severe hunger, Nigeria is named Africa's top food waster.
I hope we're not talking about the fact that some people say they are essential part of the food that we don't utilize. Maybe the back of some foods that can be used or repurposed for medicine,
right.
some other kinds of food. For example, you have your yam peels that people turn into.
And then you just trash it off.
And then you trash it off. Maybe the back of potato peels. All of those peels can be used for something, but I don't know. We are used to throwing away the peels. Of
Right.
Maybe they're coming from that.
That could be an angle to the whole thing.
Yeah.
All right. Then you also have homes where food is easily wasted. It's almost like a culture. They either don't preserve, or they think, well, once you're done with one meal cycle, whatever is left should be trashed, not maybe preserved or something.
Our power situation would contribute largely to that.
So that, of course, yeah. How do you preserve when you don't have power?
Exactly.
Or should you reserve to the archaic days?
Or maybe you have a pet. You just have to go get a dog now.
Yes, now.
So that
become more humanitarian.
Exactly.
Well, the Star headline here says 2027. That's a Kika ADC weighs options. Of course, that's what any serious party should be doing at this point in time. Lastly, World Health Day funding gap persists amid fresh health workers strike. Incidentally, that strike, we understand, by the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors, NARD, begins today. Global Television will track those developments for you, and we'll also be speaking real time with leadership of the association. Those are your headlines from the Daily Trust newspaper today. Please be sure you will end up reading up details for yourself. Next port of call is the Daily Times newspaper.
Okay, thank you very much. The Daily Time newspaper has the first story above the nameplate with a Kika lone crash. 4 die, 8 injured on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. That's a serious one. Next story is on business. Nigeria loses $56.75 billion to gas flaring as power AI opportunities slip. Okay, I like this one because he has AI. I know you like it because I feel like we have not even harnessed
that potential.
That potential at all. Okay, the Star story has Kaduna church attacks as a kicker. Contrary to army claims, no abducted worshipper have returned. Is this not a joke? Like, is this not? Are we supposed to be? I don't even know what to call this. You know, we just see conflicting details on the national dailies. The other day was someone saying we had 12 people die, 15 people die, and I was seeing. I think I saw the Nigerian Army come out to say, "Oh, finally, victory! We have, we have been able to, we have been able to, return some of the abducted worshippers that were taken in Kaduna." And now someone is coming out to say, no way, that's not true. So it is time for Nigerians and relevant authorities to provide evidences when they are reporting situations. You cannot just come out and say a thing, right? You need to back it up with proof. We need to demand proof. When these people come to tell us stuff, show us the proof. We've gone past hearsays and just verbal proclamations and news. I think this is what this is calling for. Next story: Lagos beginning prosecution of 45 alleged tax defaulters. Lagos begins prosecution of 45 alleged. I wonder what their punishment will be. So that's not.
I think there should be clear provisions as to how such penalty should be meted out, right?
So when we start to prosecute
tax
citizens or tax defaulters, what do we do to our government and our leaders that have not done their part? You mean
politically exposed people who cross the line?
No, not just crossing the line. What to hold them accountable to what they owe us. When they don't fulfill their promises, when they don't provide the basic amenities,
when they don't do the job they were appointed or elected to do.
Exactly. What do we do to them?
The people must take back their power. That's what it means.
Well, because you cannot tell me you're prosecuting me because I have not paid tax, whereas you have not done your own part of the bargain.
All right.
It doesn't make sense.
You're part of the social contract.
Thank you. I will gladly pay my tax if I have good power supply.
Right.
I'll gladly pay my tax if our health facilities, I don't have to pay extra. Go the extra mile to treat myself. I don't have to go the extra mile to get water. I don't have to use my generator to pump water all the time, right? I'll gladly pay my tax. So I don't think our leaders have any right to prosecute people for not paying tax. because they have not done what they need to do. They've not done their own part.
Now, isn't that the reason they are trying to ramp up taxes so
it shouldn't be.
they can deliver on these
No, it shouldn't be.
social services?
It should be delivering on social services that should give rise to tax payments, and not.
So where would the money come from to
tax payment
deliver on
giving
those
rise
services?
I mean, they have been borrowing for all I care. Who accounts for all the borrowings that have been going on? What has it been used for?
Oh,
Yes.
we didn't tell you we have expanded the borrowing plan for the year. I just saw that in the news this morning.
So, even all the monies that have been borrowed in time, this is just a new policy for crying out loud, right? The whole time, I know people who have been paying. There are few, businesses that have been
Right.
really, following up with their tax. But on a larger scale, it's quite new, and you don't expect Nigerians to understand, because even the information is not so clear to some
Right.
other persons. A lot of Nigerians, I can tell you. So the fact that this is new and we have been surviving without tax, right? Well, however we've been surviving, can we even have the dividend of democracy? Yes. Can we have social basic amenities? I'm talking about the basic of the basic.
Right.
Can we have all of that? Do you need tax to do all of that? Like, yes, maybe you do, but all this while we've not used it. What have you done before all these things became a law? Have you, at any point, tendered or given us what we deserve? The basic, I mean, the basic of the basic. So, I really feel like it's supposed to be the other way around. When you do your part, and then
They'll pay tax.
we'll pay tax.
Well,
Well, those are your headlines for the
Priscilla is
Times.
not a very
Let's
good
go
advisor.
Nigerian Tribune. It's only logical. I mean, we are suffering in this country, so you should not expect Nigerians to start jumping on. Nigerians should be law-abiding. Please don't get me wrong.
Right.
Yes, we should be law-abiding citizens, but I really feel like punishment at this point should not be the. Maybe I get to see the punishment first before I analyze. But hearing the word punishment from a government that has not done their part,
You think it's misplaced priorities?
It's triggering. It is.
Oh, but let's not trigger you this morning. Instead, let's pay attention to the headlines from the Nigerian Tribune. We start with the headline, top right corner of the paper, front page. Insecurity now national emergency. Obi once again plots to block his candidacy. Don't blame Tinubu for your misadventure in ADC, that's presidency. Clapping back at Peter Obi.
Is it presidency or is it Tinubu?
No, it's presidency, that's what the paper says.
Okay.
I mean, we're going by what the paper says, word for word.
Okay,
All right?
presidency.
Yeah. Article to Tinubu, keep your words to stop killings. Federal government orders probe as indigenous barge operators shrink from 83 to 8. How did we get to that? Well, page 3 is where you would find those details. 2027, INEC plots to stop us, ADC alleges. Party raises alarm over landmines. Party youth wing threatens nationwide civil action to occupy INEC offices. Tinubu Adeboye eulogized Daniel on his 70th birthday. That's the former governor of Ogun State, Otumba Agbenga Daniel, who is a senator at the moment. And he also took this time during his 70th birthday commemoration to talk about some of the things he had suffered in his journey as a politician. Of course, politicians always have stories. Investigate threats against Okim Baloyi, other journalists, NGE, Serap tell Tinubu. Health. Vaping, not just smoking, likely causes cancer, scientists warn. So for those of you who think vaping is a far safer alternative, you can read up details on page 4. Police officer, 2 others killed as security forces repel attack in Katsina. Terrorists kill 3 in Plateau. Troops kill 65 bandits in Zamfara. 31 kidnapped worshippers in Kaduna. Easter attack still in captivity. That's according to community leaders. Those are details you can read up on page 5 of the Nigerian Tribune today. Why Tinubu's ministers linked to 2027 contest failed to resign. A battle for tickets hots up in states on page 4. Those are all the headlines from the Nigerian Tribune today. As always, we encourage you to read up details as we move to the next paper, this time the New Telegraph.
Okay, on the New Telegraph, first story, FY 2025, state shareholders to receive 2.836 trillion naira dividend from 20 firms. Union Bank forensic report reveals unethical deals triggered CBN takeover. Details on page 25. Next story. NGE Serap asked Tinubu to probe Wike over threat to shoot journalists. Details on page 3. All these things are, I don't know. Details on page 3. Nigeria excluded again as OPEC plus raises crude production by 206,000 BPD, I guess. This is on 19 and 25. A writer to that says Nigeria orders canvass global energy security. Government stakeholders need complete overhaul of mindset towards varsity's debt. Details on page 14. IGP deployed DIG operations to Kaduna over Easter Day attack. Same old story. 2027, INEC wants to stop us. INEC wants to stop us from fielding candidate ADC. A writer to that says, it's part of plot to keep Obi out of ballot, says media office. Youth wing CSOs threaten to occupy NAT offices. APC faces setback in Jigawa as many decamp to ADC. I don't think the ADC should focus on INEC. I think they should just focus on their internal politics, because I think it's basically what is happening. There is a faction coming out to say, oh, we're not with you, you didn't carry us along. I also want to believe that that person leading that movement has people under him that are maybe not even comfortable with what he's doing, but somehow they are on a revenge mission. Sometimes your enemy's enemy is your enemy. So you buy enemies because you feel like you are being treated wrongly. And so the wise thing to do is to maybe go talk to those people, other people, right? Within the party. If you ask me, I'll say this is a free advice to the ADC. Maybe I should be
You're in a generous mood, aren't you?
I'm so generous this morning.
Right.
So go to them and know what their grievances are. Because I really feel like a lot of people maybe have been hurt from the takeover. And maybe have not been well compensated.
Sounds like a hostile takeover.
Maybe not, really. Maybe you just did it with some people. And maybe did it in the best of ways that you thought. But because you're dealing with human beings,
right,
you really cannot please everyone.
Conflicting interests.
Exactly. So they just have to find a way to go resolve issues with these other people. Visit states, especially. Once you have, subordinates who are pushing, for this takeover from the other faction. I don't know if you get me. If you have those people, if you're able to also come to them and explain yourself, because at the end of this, servanthood, leadership is supposed to be
about service, right?
Yeah, so you go to them and let them know. Don't just be at the top and dictating. No, it's not a dictate. At this point, there shouldn't be anything called, or there shouldn't be any form of dictatorship in this whole leadership structure right now. So go back to them, explain to them, talk to them, make them understand. Let them not see you as a demigod. Let them not see you as inaccessible. Let them not see you, because once they begin to see you in that light, they hear or they receive everything they are told against you.
Right.
Yeah. So go to them and make yourself as friendly as you can. And that way you can win their heart over. It's more of an internal politics than an INEC thing, if you ask me. Maybe INEC is jumping on the whole thing. Maybe the opposition or the leading party, because at this point I want to call them the opposition of the ADC, but maybe they are jumping on the whole matter, knowing that something is broken somewhere. But remove your focus from them. Just go back to your people and talk things out with them. If you ask me, this is a free advice to the ADC.
Thank you.
Are you the spokesman of the ADC? Why are you thanking me? Anyways, let's go to the next story. Middle East crisis. Trump warned entire Iran could be taken out today. It's not funny.
About Trump and Iran.
It's not funny. How can you be laughing at the fact that there is a possibility of taking out people? I know when Trump says a thing, he means it.
All right.
Yeah. So if he says some people could be taken out today,
Yeah.
please.
So you don't want to take that with kids' gloves
At
right?
all. If it comes from Trump, it should be taken with all seriousness and caution. But I mean, the Middle East crisis has been on for a while.
Yeah, and he's biting real hard on the world.
It is. Some writers not concerned about committing possible war crimes. Indonesia raises jet fuel surcharge, flight ticket prices as oil soars, crude prices rise as Iran continues attack on neighbors. Next story, Professor Da Silva, 60 to 80% research foreign grants, fellowships are Greek gifts. Artemis astronauts travel further from Earth than any human being. Artemis astronaut travel further than Earth than any human being. Terrorists planning retaliatory attacks in Zamfara, and that's coming from a report. Plateau attacks, 7 states evacuate 1,630 students from Unijust. Unijust varsity students dies from injury. I saw that yesterday, as Obi blames killings on Tinubu's failure. Finally, we have hydration alone may not stop kidney stones, and that is coming from a study. You want to read up details to get yourself acquainted and informed. Those are your headlines for the New Telegraph.
All right, let's go look at our last paper this morning. That happens to be the Punch newspaper. Top right corner with a picture of the national chairman of the ADC, David Mark. 2027, ADC alleges INEC plots against presidential bid. Oyo APC governorship aspirants meet over 2027 consensus deal. Electricity tariff hike imminent as Gencos step up pressure. And then we have a headline with a picture of the Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Dr. Ali Muhammad Pate, says here, just on the nameplate, doctors begin strike today over arrears. Federal government budgets 135 billion naira for 2027 election lawsuits, with 2 riders saying opposition others question massive post-election legal war chest. PDP ADC demands pending breakdown. And then, right corner of the paper, I went through hell under Amosun. That's former governor of Ogun State, now Senator Otumba Agbenga Daniel, talking on page 21 of the Punch newspaper today. Tinubu visits. Lagos deploys 500 additional last man officers. Details on page 6 of the paper there. All right. Those are all your headlines from the Punch newspaper today. Be sure to look up those details for yourself so you can have perspectives and balanced angles to the news. Those are, well, all the headlines we have for you from the papers this morning on the program. We'd like to say a big thank you to you for following through with us here on this segment of the program. Just to remind you that Global Television, as a broadcast media outfit, or the team here on Global Morning, does not in any way contribute to these headlines or their details. We'll take a break now. When we return, Ogochukwu Mobuna will be here to bring us social bars.
Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m., Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
At Wichtech Cables, we don't just make cables, we deliver excellence. Our products are built with advanced technology, trusted for their unmatched quality and durability. With a wide range of cables, swift delivery, and continuous innovation, we stay ahead of the market demand. We are proudly Nigerian, fully indigenous, yet world-class. Backed by a professional team, strong technical support, and a deep commitment to customer satisfaction. Wichtech Cables is more than a brand, it's a promise. Wichtech Cables, quality cables better than the best.
When social media speaks, we listen and we bring you the extra. It's your one-stop shop for trends, tweets, and the tea everyone's sipping on. Join the conversation, share your thoughts, and get that extra dose of what's shaking the internet.
And on issues making wave on social media to your doorstep.
Social Boss Extra, where the trend meets the talk, only on Global TV.
Good morning, Nigerians and viewers around the world. It's time to look at buzzing issues on social media. And this one we're taking into Abeokuta. A shocking video is making rounds online, capturing what appears to be the final moment before a fatal accident in Abeokuta. A TikToker has shared a video that unintentionally captured a power bike moment before it was involved in a deadly crash. According to reports, the bike later hit a pedestrian, resulting in a fatal accident. The video, now circulating on social media, shows the rider speeding past, unaware of the tragedy that would follow shortly after. The incident has sparked reactions online, with many calling for stricter safety measures and responsible riding. Let's take a look at that video.
What the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck? Are you okay? What the fuck? Oh, I want like this. Fuck, in phone, I beg. Please, daddy, wait. What the fuck? I'm a I'm gonna call ambulance. I'm gonna call ambulance. I recorded us in live. I beg, I beg, we don't attend to them, I beg, I beg. I didn't find. I recorded this scene live. I didn't find. Fuck. I beg, you know, guys, wait, I beg. Calm down, please, calm down. When I call ambulance, I beg. Calm down. I'm a beg, I didn't find. I didn't say the new Gabi. So the new Gabi. Yeah. What the fuck? Calm down. Small. I beg. They are fine.
That's indeed a tragic one. But what I can't understand is you're actually crossing the road and there's a pedestrian bridge right on top, like
on top of you, you could see the pedestrian bridge. You're just under that pedestrian bridge. You could have used the pedestrian bridge. And also, that power bike rider should have known that this is a busy road. You can see how busy this road looks. The road actually looks like there is a market around that place. So you see a lot of persons passing. Some persons are using the road, crossing the road. And I understand that the person who was hit actually, is at fault at one point, by not using the pedestrian bridge that has been provided, for pedestrians to use. And also the biker who is using that kind of speed on a busy road. I've said it times with that number. I see them in Abuja here, and I'm like, please, the only time they should use this kind of bike on this road, it should be maybe public holidays, when you know that people are not much using the road. Because if you have people, a lot of persons on that road, you should know that you are putting yourself at risk and also putting other people who are using the road at risk. You cannot be riding like that. We've seen accidents like this happen, and they are always very fatal because, power bike is not the regular kind of bike. It's not a vehicle. So controlling that thing should be very, very difficult. I know it's not going to be easy. You could imagine how many minutes it took him to stop that bike, and at the end of the day, he still even injured himself. Trying to, get a hold of the bike is not an easy one after hitting the young man. Let's take a look at some comments from social media as regards this topic, and let's see what people think about it, because I don't know, I fear power bikes. I don't even like to see them around me. I also, commend people who ride on this bike, because it's not easy. I understand it's not easy to, control. It's not like the normal bikes we see on the road. But man, it is a risky thing driving that bike or riding that bike. I beg your pardon. All right, let's take a look at the first comment. And this first comment is coming from Tiny. Tiny says, remind me what the pedestrian bridge is made for again. He caused the accident. Okay, thank you so much, Tiny. I mentioned that earlier when I talked about Nigerians not even adhering to rules. We always complain that the government don't provide, don't do this, don't do that. But at the end of the day, we also fought things that are supposed to be, they are there, they've been provided, but we still don't do what is needful. The second comment is coming from Otto Roslyn. Otto says, you are there shouting for help, but why can't you assist? You prioritize filming and reporting the incident over rescuing the victim. That's to the person who actually made the video. And I'm sure that person didn't bring out the phone because he knew or she knew that there would be an accident. Maybe he was just doing like a normal filming. All these content creators, they film everything and anything. Instead of helping, yes, he or she actually decided to film the incident. Well, it's not even their fault because he was filming before the whole thing happened. But calling for help and not even helping is another thing that is really wild. All right, the third, which is the last comment for this, is coming from Great Ibioku. And Obioku says, in civilized nations, he would be charged for jaywalking. In Nigeria, he's just crossing the road. All right, thank you everyone who dropped their comments on concerning today's topic. I'm not alone in the studio. I have with me Priscilla Obasi. Good morning, Priscilla.
Good morning, Ogochiku.
All right, so how are you doing?
Fine, thank you.
You look calm. What happened?
I don't understand.
Did you sleep well?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right, so let's talk about power bike riders and the road they ride on, because I think there are some roads that they are not supposed to be seen. There are some roads that is not meant for them. Like we have a lot of roads that are not good in Nigeria. We see power bike people ride on that road, and this thing, I don't know if it comes to the spirit, because they don't even go slow. They have to move very fast. You hear boom. I know I was on one of the pedestrian, I think along Airport Road, and it was the holiday, of course. That was on Friday, and I only heard the sound. I didn't see the person anymore. I only heard the sound. That's to show you how fast that person was actually riding on the bike. Do you think it's safe for them to actually ride on a busy road just like this? And also, I understand that young man actually made a mistake by not using the pedestrian also.
Well, there are lots and lots that are wrong with this video. First, some of the commenters have pointed out the guy crossing the road. I mean, how can you be so distracted? We need to call a spade a spade. He didn't do well. There is just a pedestrian bridge, as you mentioned, just very close to where he was.
It doesn't look like a distraction, though. If you watch closely, you will see that the road, it looks like a Y,
Exactly.
It gives you that
It
Y
was
shape.
very
So that
dangerous
means
path.
that other part looks like, okay, people don't really get to use that road, that particular place he's standing. So he was standing to actually cross to the other side before this guy. And see, the road is very wide. So you have other places to ride a bike. Why that particular place where people are standing?
So what if the power bike was crossing over to the other as part of the road?
No,
do you understand?
Don't you get what I'm saying?
How-
That lane is just for people who are going towards that direction. And now he has enough space. But then he went towards where people were standing to go hit this young man.
That's the power bike guy, right?
Yes.
However, I understand the power. I'm just trying to bring out everybody's fault right now.
Yeah, I understand.
This is a wide road. Like it is not a pedestrian path at all.
Okay.
Do you get? If you look at where the other part of the road is, it's another expressway.
And there's a pedestrian bridge.
Yes,
there.
and there's a pedestrian bridge just at the front. So where the guy is crossing from is even wrong. Even if he wants to cross from a road, he's crossing from the middle of two roads, two express. Do you understand? At the point where you have the Y intersection on the road, that is where he is crossing from. So imagine that the power bike was going this other way. It would have been worse for him.
Yeah,
Do you get?
very true.
It would have been worse. So the power bike it was even a good thing that the power bike was going straight. But that was a wrong place, first of all, to even cross. Even if you don't want to use the pedestrian bridge, you don't know using the pedestrian bridge is another crime on its own. I mean, so the guy is definitely at fault for trying to cross at that point and not even use the pedestrian. And then about power bikes and riding on such busy road, I don't even know the sense in it. How do you feel? You know, is it that you want to feel like a James Bond? I don't understand how some of our Nigerian
we watch a lot
riders
of
and
movies
drivers
sometimes, and we don't even know when to stop.
When you watch those movies, you don't see this kind of roads. They don't exhibit all of those skills on roads where you have people not wanting to cross, use the pedestrian bridge, roads where you have bikes everywhere, roads where you have a cluster of cars. It doesn't make sense. I'm still also calling on the Nigerian Road Safety Corps. What is their job? Are they at point to just extort money from private drivers? Because sometimes they don't even look at bikes, these power bikers. Maybe because of the high speed.
What exactly is the road safety corps supposed to do when it comes to this?
They're supposed to curtail these things. I mean,
how do they curtail it?
safety.
If you have the right to ride that bike, you have the right, of course, to use the road. So how
you are not supposed to
exactly
ride on some
they have to
kind of
educate
roads.
them.
Exactly.
Okay.
We need to have this as some kind of public education and awareness. You don't ride a power bike on such a road. If you want to ride power bike, you look at roads that are a bit free, right? You can go with the speed. Even at that, you still have to maintain, you still have to observe, rules
Particular,
and regulations
speed.
of the road. You don't go like you're the one that owns the road. No, there are other riders, there are other motorists that you have to respect. You have to live by the laws of the driving laws and the riding laws, whatever it is. But you can't go on an express or especially such a place that has clusters of cars, and you are riding with such speed. Eventually he had to stop, right? Eventually he had to stop out of basically not his own will, but someone had to stop him. So it means that you can stop. Do you understand? It means that you can slow down.
He actually stopped on his own after hitting something else again. I think he hit one pavement, so he had to stop there.
It means that ride can actually stop. It doesn't. It has a brake. These people intentionally don't want to use
it. Doesn't
brakes.
stop like that. That's what I need you to know. It's not like the regular bike.
You can't be ready
of motion. It takes time. You don't just stop it like that, because when you hold it,
it depends on the speed you're on.
They're always on high speed.
That's
I've never seen a power bike moving slowly.
It would
never.
It would. If you want to stop, if you're going to your house, won't you stop? Do you understand? If you're trying to
that's when you got it to your destination.
If you're trying to back, and you start stopping from. So if it's only sensitive for you to know that there are people here and you shouldn't use such speed. The more the speed, the difficult it is to stop.
Sometimes you just want to race. You see people racing on the road, busy road. You are racing with your friends or your fellow power bikers. Please.
Exactly. So it's not a competition. You can't even compete on our Nigerian roads for this. The majority of our Nigerian roads can't have such competition in display, right? So we need to be sensitive. Don't watch some American movie and feel like you can come and incorporate it, in a terrain that does not permit in any way. There are very free expressways that you can do this, but we need to be sensitive and we need to sensitize these bikers. I'm calling on the Nigerian Road Safety Corps. Say something and do something about this. These people need to have limits on, depending on where they are, depending on the express or the kind of road they're riding on.
I like it when you highlighted that the Federal Road Safety Corps should take this into cognizance and also try to educate the power bike users. I think that's the one thing that is very much important, because a lot of persons just learn, perhaps maybe they use their friend's car, power bike, or neighbor's power bike, and they just learn. They don't even have, I think there should be like a certificate or something, an authorization
that
to use it. Yeah, that permits you to use a power bike also. So, but then further education should.
It's the same thing with this. There's time I was on the way. Sorry to add this. I saw these guys that skate with these shoes.
Yes, that's something I'm seeing
on
so
the
much.
expressway. You'll see someone using his legs to be. I'm like, you guys.
What if something happens?
There's a place for a thing. You don't do this here. What you want is, they just feel like they've learned a skill and they want to they want to shine. They want to show.
I always fear for them. I don't like seeing them on the road. Those people. I'm always afraid.
You will cause an accident eventually. So there's a place for a thing. That's basically what I'm trying to say.
All right. Thank you so much, Priscilla, for your contribution to today's topic. It's so much a delight to always have you on the show. All right. Authorities are yet to release an official statement as investigations into the incident still continues, and this is where we shut the curtains for Social Pulse on Global Morning. I am Robert Kumob, and I'll be leaving in the hands of Priscilla and Uyi as they bring us into the discussion section of Global Morning. Good morning once again, Nigerians and viewers around the world. Bye for now.
When social media speaks, we listen and we bring you the extra. It's your one-stop shop for trends, tweets, and the tea everyone's sipping on. Join the conversation, share your thoughts, and get that extra dose of what's shaking the internet.
And on issues making wave on social media to your doorstep.
Social Boss Extra, where the trend meets the talk, only on Global TV.
In an age of breaking news, you need a trusted source that prioritizes accurate, factual, and unbiased reporting. This is AM News, and I am Ubong Usoro.
On Global Television, our news is rooted in verified and authoritative storytelling that keeps you educated, informed, and enlightened on all the issues that matter to you. I am Sadia Yakubu. This is Midday News.
You can trust our multi-platform news broadcast real-time and fast-check stories for all the big local and foreign headlines round the clock. I am Ramsey Enoch Agbo. This is News Express.
Our array of anchors delivers the news to our teeming viewers, breaking it down with context and perspective. This is News Cycle on Global Television. I am Anieti Patrick.
And the flagship news is your hub for the day's most engaging stories. This is News Prime, and I am Jumai Manson.
Did you miss any of our news rounds? No worries. Catch up at 10 p.m. and midnight, 7 days of the week. I am Mukhtar Kasim.
Global TV is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. We're active across all social media platforms at Global TV NG.
Global TV News, accurate and unbiased. I'm Uyi Agmofwebe. Want to stay ahead in Nigeria's fast-moving economy? Tune in to Business Point with Kikelomo Okere on Global Television, a program that examines the Nigerian economy and explores government policies shaping growth and development. From market trends and investment opportunities, in-depth discussions on economic policies, Business Point brings you the insights you need to understand how Nigeria's economy affects businesses and everyday life. Watch Business Point every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 2:30 p.m. West African time, exclusively on Global Television, Channel 365 on DSTV, and 276 on Star Times. Business Point, your window into Nigeria's economy and policies. Our language, our vibrant culture and colorful tradition, our industrious and hospitable people. This is Nigeria, a nation that prides itself in abundant human and natural resources. From east to west, north to south, we sparkle, we shine, we have a common bond. Fellow Nigerians, let's do away with ethnic, religious, and regional sentiments that divide us as a people. God has blessed us and empowered us to find strength in diversity. Let's make our faith and way of worship our source of unity as we build our nation that stays united. Nigeria, together today, together always. This is a public announcement brought to you by Global Television.
All right, so for the most part of the last few days, especially starting from weekend, we had been told that the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors, NARD, will commence its strike. Today, the doctors, I should say, are asking for a handful of things. I mean, their demands maybe a bit numerous, but one of them is the doctors now saying that there are certain positions that government must, if you like, walk back on or reverse before they can at least consider going back to work. But here's one of the takeaways from all of this. Not too long ago, sometime at the twilight of last year, we saw the NARD going on strike. And before that, last year again, there had been yet another strike. So you're asking yourself, what are the implications when doctors, especially the resident doctors, who we understand are the guys who do the bulk of the work. Of course, those in the medical field in Nigeria will argue differently, but we understand the manpower is such that the resident doctors make up the chunk, all right, at least from that perspective of those who are licensed to practice as doctors. So when you remove that chunk, the question is what is left? We're now hearing that there have been stakeholders, interest groups who are saying to governments across levels, whether the federal or state, to say, look, please, let's do whatever is required to ensure that these guys do not go on strike. Because the last couple of times when they did go on strike, I mean, on each of those occasions, we only could imagine as against, I mean, it was better imagined than experienced, the suffering that people, patients and their loved ones had to go through. I mean, just imagine off the top of your head what happens in a typical accident and emergency ward of a hospital, whether a general hospital, a teaching hospital, or a federal medical center. So in all of this, the question is, why do we keep having these systemic problems that have become some kind of, if you like, monsters that have refused to go away? 1 minute we're blaming the doctors for not being patriotic enough. The next minute we say no, is the government that's not doing its part. Otherwise, these doctors are ready to roll up their sleeves all day, every day. How do we strike an equilibrium?
Well, Nigerian doctors, have had their grudge for a while. Even if sometimes it looks like we're trying to make a headway, we're trying to have issues resolved with them. All of a sudden, it looks like nothing has been spoken about. Everybody's back to square one. Everybody's back to that point where they are angry. And the most part of it is the fact that they often compare themselves to their colleagues, other clients of the world. A lot of them have left the country. So when you look at that, your friend that you used to be in the country with, doing so much better in the UK, in the US of A, and other parts of the world, you just have to be angry. Because you've gone through the stress. It's not easy to go to school and study medicine. I'm not saying other courses are insignificant, but I know the level of discipline you have to go through to come out as a doctor. And Nigerian universities make it worse, being that you go through strikes, you go through everything, that disrupts the academic calendar, and eventually you emerge as a doctor, only to, see yourself, because you are promised, maybe while studying, you are promised of all the good opportunities, of the fact that, this course is a very relevant one, don't worry, go through the stress, it will pay off. You have to put yourself together, you endure, basically because you know that there's light at the end of the tunnel. And then you come out from the tunnel and see that Nigeria will still there. Now lights not even the NEPA never even been the lights. I'm not even sure when they'll get the power over. So it can be all frustrating when you see the realities you have on ground and compare with the dreams you had, with all the hopes you used to scale through that system. It is not commensurate. It's not something you can reconcile at all. And like I say, to make it worse, you are looking at your friends that have left. I know a friend of mine that said, "Oh God, I don't know why I did not leave this country after NYSC. Now I have family and it's a bit difficult to put them together."
Yeah, it's a bit more
complicated, right? And there are other doctors that believe, Nigeria is great. I mean, you guys have not opened your eyes to see the opportunities we have. If you are able to see it, you know that there are a lot of things you can get away with in this country. You can, not in a negative sense, per se, but the fact that maybe because of the fact that you are a citizen, the laws are not too stringent on you. You have the right to establish businesses. You have the right to open ventures if you have the means. Again, you're considering if you have the means. But as a doctor, I think you have an edge. Whether you are doing well in your career, whether you are being paid the billions and the millions, but it gives you have an edge, being that you can work as a consultant. I mean, I can just pick up my phone and call you, and you charge me for some consultancy, fee and all of that. You walk into the hospital, whether you treat me or not, I pay you for the consultancy. I don't think there's any business that you really you can really walk up to somebody and expect that the person pays you like the medical profession, right? A common man can just come to you and he's paying for your services, but every other kind of business, every other kind of intelligence somehow can be outsourced. But you want to go to ChatGPT or Google to ask things, you just know that Google is already warning you. This is not cast on stone. Make sure you still go and see your
physician. Make
sure you still, don't take this to heart. So they're already giving you a disclaimer. So somehow it puts them on the edge. I'm saying this to say there's still hope, right? I know that Nigeria is in a very wonderful state, but Nigerian doctors need to also understand that maybe they're not the only people in Nigeria. We're going through this together. I mean, you can come and clamor for your rights and talk about it. You have the right to do so.
The challenges.
Yes, you have the right to do so. If another person doesn't want to talk, talk. But they must also understand that whatever it is, the actions you are taking at the end of the day is still, has a backlash, or it still bounces back on the common Nigerian. These big men that you are crying to, concern them. They get their physicians scattered all over the world. You go on strike, affect them. Now still same people when they go through this stuff with them. It's still the same you and I that are in the hands of these politicians. At the mercy of them. They're taking the brunt of whatever it is you do. So there just has to be another strategy to this thing. I don't know what it will be, but they have to come up with another strategy.
So you think this idea of incessant strikes is not paying off?
It's not paying off. It doesn't affect them. It might have a way of saying, their government is doing bad. But for the same Nigeria, we're still experiencing people being killed on a daily basis from their government. So what do you want to say to them that is worse than that? I mean, you say, this person has our medical, our healthcare sector is not working. People are dying. People are dying from insecurity. I'm not saying it's an insensitive thing, but They have seen the worst of it all. Let me just say it that way. So this is for them a smaller mess to handle.
So there's a bigger issue.
There's a bigger issue, right? So we need to, they need to look for another strategy. If they need to put in some more laws to make them a bit diversify, or maybe give them access to grants or research, allowances, to make themselves more recognized internationally. Do you understand? If we have a Nigerian doctor, a Nigerian NMA that is able to find serious solution to world problems, when I talk about work, I'm talking about health problems, it makes you relevant. People will come from all over the world to seek your service. You begin to solve problems, and of course, ultimately brings in funds. So, if you need to have access to grants or to monies for research, maybe we should have such a strategy, right? Rather than saying, give us our salary, give us our salary, give us our salary. Let us, again, I started this show by saying, when did we put our names, on the world map? When did we have our names inscribed on, when do we leave a legacy on, as Nigerians? When does the world look up to us and say, this is what this country is known for? They have just solved this big problem. We're not even talking about that again. I mean, it's not even in our agenda. So we need to go back to that time. If we have a sector that is able to pull that off, that's a big one for us. And I'm really expecting that the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors think about it in this light.
Incidentally, there has been these debates for a while now, Priscilla, about how that there are those who believe these doctors need to do more in terms of being patriotic. They should see what they do as medical doctors, trained, qualified, licensed, all right, to practice, beyond just going to work to treat people, to attend to people's health. They should see it as a calling. That's number one. Number two, which is a layer on the first, is to say that these doctors are trained for next to free, considering what you actually pay to graduate from med school. If you were to place that side by side, what obtains beyond our shores, whether you're going to South Africa, you're going to Egypt, of course, you're going beyond the shores to the UK, Canada, Australia, or US to train as a doctor, for example. All right, I think we need to have those data and continue to punch the numbers as we make progress. So we begin to see from a perspective that's a bit more scientific and driven altogether by data. I think every time we talk about doctors and going on strike in the midst of the kind of work that they do, it seems to be so much about emotions and sentiments and biases, right? But the doctors, on the other hand, have said, they said, look, we pay a lot to go to school, to get trained. It's not as cheap as people think it is. While we're doing all of that, the question is, how do we ensure that we have a system in Nigeria that is retentive of doctors, especially the best of them? How do you, because as it stands right now, it appears Nigeria has become like a training ground, a breeding ground for doctors. So you train them, you export them. Incidentally, you do not have a handle on that exports or that process of exporting them, because they make that decision by themselves. They say, look, I'm done and dusted in this environment. I've got to move away. And they leave. The government does not gain anything from that. In the end, you and I come here, we talk about it, we say it's brain drain, because they've left us. In 2008, 2009, Ethiopia had the highest number of doctors in the US. So Ethiopia as a country had more of its own doctors in America than it had in Addis Ababa, the capital of the country, and everywhere else across the country. Think about that for a second. So are we not supposed to, at the very least, sit down and ask ourselves, how did Africa get to this point? How is it that the best of these doctors are leaving the country? Go to some of the best hospitals in the world, whether you're talking about Johns Hopkins, for example, you're talking about Boston Medicals in the US. You have Nigerians in different spheres within that space, the medical space, doing their best around there. But would you dare look them in the eye and ask them to come back home? What incentives are you creating for them? I talked about here how that a former minister, now late, had said that a time there was, she had visited the US, she ran into a young man who was doing photography. And naturally, you would assume this guy was a trained photographer. That's all he had as far as career goes. But he got talking, and then she realizes that this guy had been a medical doctor practicing in Nigeria. He left for the US, got there, and then he realizes that, well, there's something more we can do beyond medicine. And then he takes to photography. Now, fast forward to the point in between their engagement, where she says to him, have you ever given a thought to coming back to Nigeria as a doctor? The guy says, not a chance. I feel so fulfilled and accomplished in this business of photography. Right? So I think we need to be sober now. I don't know how we're going to kick into that mood and ask ourselves real tough questions. In 2022, I was at a hospital, a teaching hospital. I was at the A&E, the accident and emergency ward, as they call it, and I realized that they had one doctor on shift. It was a weekday. One doctor. It was not a public holiday. It was not a weekend. It was a weekday. Only one doctor on shift. And of course, you know how A&E can be busy because of the cases, accidents, and what have you. The whole place was full of people with serious cases. And then one of the senior nurses, you had just two of them, one a very younger nurse, the other one apparently a senior nurse, says, look, you guys can't pressure anybody here, including this doctor. That this doctor had closed since 3 p.m. They had no choice than to stay back. This is past 10. If this doctor gets angry and leaves, you guys will take your destiny in your own hands. And that humbled me for a second. You see, thing is, these are systemic issues. And then the lady goes on to say that, look, you ought to have been here a few months ago to see how many doctors and nurses we had here. They've all gone abroad. I don't know if the government is listening, really. Because this is a country where we heard just recently that of the billions, over 20 billion, we were told had been earmarked for the health sector, it was only 36 million, at least overall, less than 40 million, that had been released. That's what we heard from the Federal Ministry of Health. And nobody has come to debunk it, for example. Nobody, not even from the Office of Budget and National Planning. Not even from, of course, there's a Ministry of Budget and National Planning. There's a Ministry of Finance. They have not come out to debunk it. Are we not supposed to hold our faces in shame and ask ourselves, is this how we want to live our lives as a country? Meanwhile, there is the loudest of noise around elections in 2027. Politicians are falling over themselves to get ahead of the game. And nobody is asking, do we have a healthcare system that is vibrant, robust enough to keep people alive till the next election cycle?
We should also budget for casualties in 2027 elections, just as we are budgeting for litigation. Because I'm not a prophet of doom, but it's also part of being proactive. Yes, as we're budgeting for elections, we should budget for the killings that might happen or the incident that might happen in another state, because it looks like it's a daily routine right now. Right. Can we budget for all of those? It almost appears as though Nigeria government is using, these our citizens to compensate the world. Maybe when they want to receive favor from, say, the UK, the US, they say, oh, we have our doctors, can we do a trade by barter? It's almost looking like that. How are you not concerned? Maybe you go to, we saw the president in the UK recently, and I'm just wondering, maybe perhaps one of his conversations was, how are my doctors doing? Yeah.
Can I have dinner with them this Saturday?
I hope they are serving you well. I hope they are making you proud. I hope we are making you proud, because it should be concerning. It should be a thing of concern. Or maybe you want to go abroad to treat yourself. I wonder how our Nigerian doctor that is there, the one that left, can she attend to me? I heard she's the best here. It's not like, this can be the conversations. As funny as it sounds, but it can be a reality. Because these are these are the places they travel to for their personal health care. So you can be so sure that they are going to a UK, and a Nigerian from the UK is, in the UK, they're residing in the UK, the best of hand, because we do well when we travel out. We have all the good professionals out there. So maybe, just maybe, that's where they get to receive a dividend. Just like you say, it's a brain drain, but in the real sense, it can be a benefit for those of our politicians that travel abroad to receive all their treatment and take care of their health. It's a slap, really. At the end of the day, the masses again suffer. We don't receive the hands of those good guys. This political class get to at least have the best of hands out there, including our citizens. What do? Do we keep blaming them? Will they even do anything about it if we keep pointing fingers to them? The time has come in Nigeria where we need to take it. We need to just, I don't know how we collect this power. I don't know how we're going to do it, but we have to do it. Strategically, we need to come together to strategize.
Right.
Systemically, I don't know how we put in the systems, but we have to just outsmart. We have to be smart at this point. There is no two ways about it. If Nigeria must work, we cannot depend on our leaders to make it work again. No, we can't do that. We've done that for too long. We've done that even for 4 years. 4 years is enough. We have done that. We're talking about in Nigeria that is how old. From inception, we've been saying, let's leave it to them. It can't work again.
Yeah, I don't want us to have this conversation the whole time, Priscilla, and forget to mention that it's actually World Health Day today.
Yeah.
It's a UN Day which is commemorated on the 7th of April every other year. Now, on the World Health Day 2026, the World Health Organization unites and mobilizes the world under the theme Together for Health, Stand with Science, which celebrates the power of scientific collaboration to protect the health of people, animals, plants, and the planet. Now, the year-long campaign spotlights both scientific achievements and the multilateral cooperation needed to turn evidence into action. So, as it stands today, it just shows that health is the centrality of everything else we need to do. You know, I have a colleague, we worked together for a while, great guy, right? He said something once. I mean, he's a guy who has a background in chemistry, industrial chemistry, I think. But then, of course, he's an amazing guy on radio. So he says that the thing he loves about science is that science makes you believe everything is possible. He said this well over 10 years ago to me. I can't forget. And even though I'm not big on sciences, it makes me think about whether or not as a country, we are scientific in the things we do. I think, quite frankly, I stand to be corrected. If we were scientific in our thinking, in our calculation, in our projection, we probably won't be having this amount of strikes. Today is with the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU. Tomorrow is with the Non-Academic Staff Union of Universities, NASU. The day that follows is with the NARD. And you are asking, are we planning? Are we thinking? Are we calculating? Do we even have a handle on trajectories in terms of how we're developing and evolving and things like that? I mean, on the final notes, just before we jump in on the next conversation, a country that can show, if you like, sizable commitment, right, to health, to things like education, things like even infrastructure. We know, I know, for example, of roads in this country that have been awarded and re-awarded time and again. Do you want to start from the Lagos-Ibadan Express Road? Do you want to start from, how many can I really mention? Let's not even go up north. You have federal roads that either got started and abandoned midway, or those we had been told had started but never really got started, and things like that. So what's the point here? In a country where you ironically, like I mentioned a while ago, have Ministry of Budget and National Planning. What is that ministry planning? Well, we've got plans for you this morning on the program, right? So let's take a break now. When we return, we'll talk about power sector and how Nigeria can keep the lights on. Do stay with us.
Every day, we are surrounded by questions that spark debates, fuel confusion, and demand answers. From social tension, we move to personal struggles, political controversies, to everyday realities. The issues are real, and they affect us all. On issues, we don't just assume, we ask. We bring together experts, eyewitnesses, and the people at the center of the matter to break it down. Fact by fact, truth by truth. Yes, no guesswork, no fighting, just clarity, different voices, different perspective, one honest conversation. If it affects your life, your future, or your community, It is an issue. On Issues, questions meet answers with conversations that matter. Showing every Tuesday and Fridays at 5 p.m. on Global Television. Clarity starts right here on Issues.
The dust is back and it's making a bold return. By early Tuesday morning, fresh wave of dust from the Sahara Desert will sweep into the country, casting a hazy veil across parts of Sokoto, Katsina, Zamfara, and Kebbi State. Visibility will drop slightly, and the atmosphere will take on that familiar dry, dusty feel. But that's not the end of the story. As the day unfolds, this dust is expected to loosen its grip, giving way to a dramatic shift in conditions. Thunderstorms are set to build first over Zamfara and Kebbi State, then spreading into Kaduna, Bauchi, Gombe, Southern Borno, and Adamawa State. And it doesn't stop there. This storm system will surge further south, pushing into the Federal Capital Territory, Plateau, Nasarawa, Kogi, parts of Benue, and Kwara State, before extending their reach across much of the southern states. So from dusty skies in the north to rumbling storms across the central and southern areas. It's a day of striking contrast across the country. Stay safe and stay weather aware. I am Akami Samarda, and thank you for watching.
Nigeria's national grid has suffered over 100 total or partial collapses since 2016. That's an entire 10-year period characterized by frequent instability, weak infrastructure, and gas shortages. Now, while occurrences dropped from a high of 28 in 2016 to lower figures in 2020 to 2022, collapses continued just 2 years ago in 2024 and early this year, often reducing power generation to zero. Of course, at the point, it was almost like a norm to expect the grid to collapse on a week-to-week basis, even though in recent times we've not heard of any such occurrence. However, the challenge with this is how it continually sets the country back in terms of socio-economic development. And experts over time have argued that for a country that aspires to hit a $1 trillion mark for its economy come 2030, one of the first things to address is the issue of electricity. Whether or not Nigeria is ready for that conversation is yet to be seen. However, in the middle of this very dark era, we now have individuals and corporate entities now thinking differently as to devising alternatives as far as power supply goes. This morning, we're joined by someone who has a handle on this conversation to help us beat it into context and perspective. Michael Mobolaji is an alternative power specialist. He's also the chief executive officer of Pemicom Solar. Michael, would like to say a big thank you to you for coming on the program.
Thank you very much for having me.
Great. All right. I'm sure the lights were on when you left the house or the office this morning, but you can't say the same for many other households in Nigeria today. I want you to help our viewers understand what has made it some sort of rocket science that year after year, government after government, we keep talking about power supply issues.
Yeah, thank you very much. First and foremost, let me say I'm glad to be here. And as you have rightly said, my name is Michael Mobolaji. And before I go into that, I will first and foremost said that we have missed it in the earlier stage.
We have missed it.
We have missed it. And like you really said also, the present situation that we are finding ourselves is as a result of a kind of misconception of over-reliance on the grid. So many people rely and expect power. It's not possible. And I'm sorry, government alone cannot do it. There is no way government alone can do it. So that brought us to this topic of looking for a means of survival through alternative power.
When you say government alone cannot do it, I am just wondering, so what are they supposed to do? They're not supposed to give us the basics. We have other countries, compare ourselves to other climes of the world. This is not supposed to be the citizens' responsibility. It is not all of your own. You are here to provide alternative power solution and make your own money. But we must ask critical questions, even as citizens of Nigeria, because we're first a citizen, right? One would believe that it is my fundamental right as a citizen to have power. At this point, Nigerian government has, recently even moved out of national grid. The Aso Rock and its entirety has moved away. So clearly, it's obvious that they cannot do it. But why can't they do it? Is the question.
All right. So now the reason why I said so is, even if you go to the Western world, individuals generate power. They generate power and also feed to the grid.
Okay.
Yes, they generate power in kilowatts and they feed to the grid. Now, let me tell you one thing. You see, the population of Nigeria, the way it's growing gradually, I don't know if there is a proper statistics of the present population. And as such, power demand will always increase. It can never depreciate, never. So there is always an increment in power demand. And so the government don't always have the actual statistics. So it boils down on us. And where I said it's us is, I'm not saying that the government are not supposed to provide.
Right.
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that the government alone cannot do it. I'm not part of the government. In fact, I have never been into politics. What I'm saying is that our role as a person is to look for an alternative, not over relying on government's provision. Now, the grid has collapsed several times. You understand? And the major source of our grid or our generation is hydro. Which, all right, if you notice several times when you're in the dry season, you discover that you don't have power. But when you are gradually entering into the wet season, you discover that we have power. Even the gas plant and other things, they are not doing well. So what we are looking at is an alternative power. The government itself has recently moved from the grid into alternative power.
So my question is it not possible to give this alternative power solution to every Nigerian? Can't the country go on solar?
No, the country. I think what the country should, what I think we can do is to provide a means of getting it in a cheaper way.
Okay.
I think that's what the government can do. But for the government to provide alternative power for individuals, I don't think it's very much feasible. I'm not saying it's impossible anymore. You understand? But it might look like an impossible mission. There are other facilities that we are even crying for daily that we don't even want. I don't want to talk about them.
Right.
So why are we now thinking that government will provide power for individuals, solar power, alternative power? It's almost an impossible mission.
I want us to talk about what experts like yourself call energy mix. We have to start thinking about energy mix. We have to adopt energy transition and make commitment to it. It doesn't look like Nigeria as a country or as an entity is having that conversation just yet. Help our viewers understand what this means and how critical at this point in time and going into the future that will be.
Well, the energy mix is what everyone should start thinking of. The major problem, because one of the major issues on ground now is that even if you have the gas, you still need an alternative, because at any point in time, your gas plant can also collapse. You understand?
Or you have a shortage of gas.
You have a shortage of gas. There are other things that could surround the why such can collapse. You can have a failure at any time. You know. So as a result of that, I think the first thing we should start doing is sensitizing our people about this energy mix. Is letting people know that, okay, in your own little way, and that's what we do at Pemicom. We let you understand that, okay, we don't only install, we give you peace of mind. You can just, okay, you have your little generator. Why not? How much do you spend per day? We're going to buy fuel, going to do this, going to do that. All right, okay. Let's say, okay, you have a large system that you cannot just afford a huge sum of money, putting it in and installing a very big system to power everything. Okay, you can have your generator run as a backup system. It's a mix. You understand? Your generator can come in with design systems that automatically back up your system. When maybe like later in the morning, all right, like some of the banks we've installed for, most banks in Nigeria are using solar.
So they don't rely on the national grid.
I am telling you, you can go. I work with.
You don't have to mention the names of those.
Yes, I'm not mentioning their names. I work with a particular company. All right. Apart from the company I manage, they install for almost all the commercial banks. I'm telling you, most commercial banks in Nigeria currently, let me say, 90% are presently not depending on the national grid. They do this energy mix. They use grid as a support, but their main source, we design a system in the morning like this. When the sunlight is not up, this system automatically calls the generator, just as a backup system to charge the battery.
Right.
When the sun comes up, that trips it off.
Automatically,
it trips it off, and the solar takes over until the sun goes down again. Now, look at it. This man is making a lot of money by saving this, and you don't pay for sunlight. It's free gift of nature.
But that comes to, it brings us to the issue of costs. There are people I've spoken to, they say, look, I'm very interested in switching to solar, but I understand the setup costs, that initial payment you have to make is quite huge. Do you think that's a deterrence? Do you think that could be an obstacle for people who may otherwise want to opt for solar, but they are just concerned about cost implications?
To add to that, is there a means of gradually building this system? For example, I just have a little money right now. Can I say, I'll buy one solar panel and make it work? Maybe it just works for only my charger. And then when I have more money, I upgrade and I keep upgrading. What is such system feasible?
Yes, it's very feasible. So what we do majorly is we advise you. The first advice we give is, all right, instead of not having power totally,
right,
I can proudly tell you that my children don't know what is NEPA. All right. They don't know what it is. I've been in this business for over 14 years. All right. They don't know if there is NEPA or there is no, they call it NEPA, but we call it PACN now. So let me go back to your question. You can gradually do that. I never started doing that powering the whole of the house. It may look a little bit expensive starting, but we have people in this country, like I don't want to mention their names, they have total solutions. So it is possible. You can start gradually. In fact, we have companies, you go to them, you pay little by little.
At the end of the day, is that not even more expensive? I know companies that give you some kind of packages that you have to recharge, right?
Yeah.
And then somehow it still goes back to them when the unit is finished.
Then it goes off.
The power goes. There's such a solution. I don't know.
No. Well, I don't advise people to go in for such solution, but everybody have their mindset. We have what you can afford. You understand how your pocket is and what you want to do. But I would prefer an option where you can start having a smaller system. Like the battery with time, if it's on the ground, may get spoiled. But I can start buying my solar panels. My solar panels at least have a lifespan of over 25 years, effective years. But a solar panel can last for more than 50 years. Your solar panel, more than 50 years. So if my solar panel can last for more than 50 years, I can go to the market. The market is quite open. I can go to the market, I can buy 300 watts of panels based on the advice given to me by an expert. I keep them in my house. It's not going, it will not get spoiled. It will not be affected by anything. I can buy my inverter, it doesn't get spoiled. Those are the major components. The solar panels, the charge controller, in some cases, the inverters, the cables doesn't get spoiled. It's in your house. But finally, when you are ready, okay, engineer, I'm ready. I want to buy my battery. You see,
the battery is the last thing to get.
You can buy the battery as the last thing. Right. Then, because that's your power bank. So when you are ready, you go in, you get your battery. When you get your battery, you have completed your installation. You will smile all day. I am telling you, see, I'm sorry, I think the big guys in this country are smiling always. They don't feel our pain. I've done several installations for them. I can tell you. They don't know what, most of them don't know when we are talking about maybe the grid collapse or...
You only read about it in the news.
So when it gets to the news, some of them don't feel what you feel.
They can't relate.
They can't relate. Yeah, thank you very much. They don't, when you are talking about it, they don't even understand. Some of them don't even pay for the grid. I'm sorry to say, some of them don't. Because it's part of their package as concerned their offices. They have, right, they don't even understand because, let me tell you, where most of them live, they are band A's. The lights sometimes don't even blink.
Right.
And mind you, they have a standby generator with an automatic changeover. And this is going up, this is coming in. And now let me tell you the truth. Most of them have harnessed this opportunity. They understand how it works. And they are now saving their even costs.
Even with the fact that they have constant electricity or they are entitled to a constant, they still switch to solar.
Power bank, yes. Because now, everybody wants to save cost, even the rich. In fact, I'm sorry, the rich want to save more money than the poor because they know the value.
Okay, let's talk about the hazards. I've seen situations where solar panel is on the roof and somehow it catches or explodes, or you see fire hazards and all of that. Even the health implications. I know you're not a medical person, but within your
yes, I'm not a medical person, but I'm a trained OHSE because it's part of our job.
Right.
So are there cases where it affects your health, and at what cases does it blow up or fire incidences arise from fixing your solar?
Basically, when we have such issues is because of several things could be responsible. It could be maybe the personnel is not well trained, which is what is going on right now. Presently.
So there are a lot of untrained.
You want to do an installation. My in-law is doing it.
Okay.
You understand? Right. I have somebody who is doing it. We do some training for some people. And by the time the guy is training for 6 months, before he gets to his time, because he can connect 1 or 2 wires, he does not even know what the rudiment of connection. The guy is pure because he has connection.
He abandons the training.
We do 6 months training, basic training. We do comprehensive. We do expert training. But before the guy just understand that, okay, I can connect 1 or 2, and you have been to 1 or 2 sites, you've gone. And mind you, you want to do installation. You don't know maybe the guy is well trained or not. So the first problem we have is personnel. It's not even the product. When you are expert in the field, you know the right products to use. That's number one. you know the right design, you know the right thing to do, and proper installation. Then again, how many people can pay for proper installation?
So we're going back to the cost.
Yes, how many people can pay for proper installation if you are to give a charge? But mind you, we can still do little things that will make this better. I watched a video and I saw the roof burning. The roof of a house. I've seen a video when the man was trying to, to extinguish the fire, the battery caught fire. Now, let me start from the roof. The solar panel that you see has an operating temperature based on design. But you have seen people just go to the roof, the guys just look for what we call the binding wire. You just put it on the roof there and tie it to your nails, that's your roof cap. And tie it and just put it there. It joins the wire and just cut it and use, what's the name, sellotape. Your insulation tape or whatever, you use it to just tie it and just put the roof and it covers it. And the guy goes away and collects his money. Now, what has he done? Number one, that solar panel, you can never get the maximum or the optimum performance of that system. You have light it on the roof. There is no ventilation. That's number one. Your panel needs ventilation. Because the man who designed it as include a certain temperature that this must operate. And if it's not operating at that temperature, it can't work well.
So you're saying there's supposed to be breathing space between...
There must be a breathing space.
Between the panel and the surface, which is the roof.
In fact, if there's any point I have opportunity to talk, I talk majorly about solar panels and installation. Because it's a major problem. It's a serious problem. You can buy a panel, you can install a panel of 3 kilowatts and you are getting just 1.5. The guy is not working. If I choke you, how do you work? Have you asked yourself why panels do well in places like Jos? Okay. Solar panels do well in places like Jos. Do you know outside the country where we have cold weather, their panels do well?
They use solar panels.
They do. They do.
They even have solar farms.
They have solar farms. Have you asked yourself? We come to Nigeria, somebody will tell you don't buy this type of panel, buy mono, buy this. Your design is the problem. So your solar panel should be installed properly. The proper installation on the roof is very important. So there is a certain angle also that this thing should be installed. So the guy just put it there and tied and just you have messed everything up. If your panel is supposed to last for 25 years, for the next 12 years, you start complaining, oh, this guy, the panel is not doing well. The cable also melts because it's lying down on the roof. Now, mind you, your solar fire is not like your usual fire.
Okay.
It's not.
So what's the difference?
It doesn't know. You're in solar. When you want to have a problem with your solar now, you don't just see spark. You see fire. It's a DC system. It's a direct fire. And that is what we should understand. That when you are going for installation, you should just try as much as possible to get the right persons to do your installation. So let's understand. Give it that breathing space. When it is properly installed, let it be. I've seen panels when there is wind, the way it flies on the roof and damage some things and cause harm to people.
Right.
What? So it's a problem of personnel.
I want us to look at regulation, really, because the market now has become more like free for all. Every Tom, Dick and Harry is suddenly a solar expert, exactly, and that appellation engineer, it's fun to have added to your name. But do we have a regulatory framework? Do we have a system that regulates? Because in the case of the conventional power sectors would know it. At least we have the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, the NERC, regulating. Who regulates this space, as it were, or is it just come all sort of environment?
Yes. You know, in Nigeria, we have one problem. It's one thing to have a regulatory body, and it's another thing to enforce it.
Right.
We have regulatory body. The current is a major regulator of all specification.
The
Council for Regulation of Engineering.
Yes.
We're not supposed to have a separate entity.
No,
that,
it's
so it falls under current.
Yes, they fall under current. It's
So
engineering.
it's a specialized field.
No, it's a specialized field.
Yes.
There's another body that works on that, but they are all under current. They are all under current.
In your own assessment, is it properly, adequately, effectively regulated?
I think it's not. But we are moving into it because everybody is beginning to understand that we have problem.
Right.
We are gradually, as at 14 years ago or 13 years ago, when they tell you about solar, what comes to your mind? You just feel it doesn't work.
Right.
It's expensive. You are not even looking at. It's now that we are facing the reality of the costs of fueling and the availability of power is no longer there. That is when we know that we need to move into this. And when we begin to install and other quacks begin to come in, that is when people begin to say, oh, let's come together. These guys will spoil our jobs.
Right.
They are more reactive than proactive.
Yes, so that is it's just normal for us here. It's just normal for us here.
Let me ask a bit of a political question. When generators came in, a lot of people attributed it to the fact that politicians, have businesses in generators.
Right.
They sell generators, so they don't want us to have light because now there's solar. Do you think there are lots of politicians in this business of solar trying to push, the solar business? Because when I heard that National Grid moved away from, the Aso Rock moved away from National Grid, I'm wondering, okay, who did that installation? That person must have made. Could it have made
several people put in for that. But
that's the bidding process.
Yes,
maybe one position is
I don't want to say anything. I don't want to say anything about that. Let me just keep quiet. How it goes. I won't say anything more than that.
So you don't think our Nigerian politicians are into this business?
Yeah, of course. Majority of them.
So they have solar.
Majority of them have solar company.
Wow.
Majority.
Okay, maybe that's a basis on which we should talk about investments in this solar business now, because whether you like it or not, there are things that are capital intensive everywhere in the world. You talk about health, you talk about infrastructure, you talk about things like even power, electricity is expensive everywhere in the world. That's why energy it takes a lot of what households earn at the end of the day. But let's now talk about the case of Nigeria. Are we investing enough? Is there any such thing as investment gap? And then I also want to ask, do we have foreign entities showing interest in our solar space now? Yes,
there are foreign, presently, a lot. I don't like to mention names around here. So now, presently, there are foreign entities coming into Nigeria. Solar business currently is the best thing that you can ever do. Presently, it's the best you can come. There are Chinese coming in. There are German. Even so many companies. So many companies are investing in solar business currently, and our big guys in Nigeria presently they are investing. You might not be hearing their names, but on the background they are pushing it. And that's why you see that almost every place, almost any company you go, this place close to you, they are using it. I was part of the installation. I've been part of so many installation, big installation in this country, and if you check on the background, the people who are responsible who take us in as experts to do the job and give us what belongs to us, they are the guys here. So there is a lot of investment going on. And I think in the nearest future, let me say the next 5-10 years, this PhD thing we are talking about may just be a thing of story if there is proper investment. I tell you the truth.
Okay, when you mentioned the fact that we still have quacks in the system and maybe people are not very knowledgeable about it but are venturing into it, one thing came to my mind. If we can incorporate courses, into our universities that really gives...
there are courses already.
Are there courses?
There are courses, yes. Like, I don't want to advertise any university.
Now, our public universities.
Yes.
Please, what are those courses?
Yeah, there's courses on PV installation, there are PV and solar electrical, yes. Under electrical engineering. Yes, there are present courses.
But somehow they are still grouped on...
No, they are not grouped. They are not grouped.
Oh, really?
They are not grouped, yes. You specialize on solar installation, but they call it renewable energy.
Okay.
They call it renewable energy. We have the biogas, we have the wind turbine, because we talk about the energy mix. We have the wind turbine, we have the biogas, where you know that your pit. It's a source of energy. We are only talking about solar.
Okay, maybe we'll explore that part, other aspects of it.
Yes, I'm actually researching into that now. Okay. You understand? So that I can come to your house. That thing you flush down into the drain, I can convert it.
I think we're going places, obviously, regarding this, solar. But let's now talk about solar energy beyond households, beyond residential use, for businesses and companies. Let's talk about industrial real-time application. How much is solar powering the industries in Nigeria?
Presently, I think we have about 30 to 40%.
The reason I'm asking is you can't talk about energy and not be able to tie it to economic development at the end of the day. Because they say one of the mistakes we made is, somebody jokingly said in a video a few years ago that God said, let there be lights, then every other thing followed. But in the case of Nigeria, we are doing every other thing before lights. That is us placing the cart before the horse, right? So I want to know how much more work we need to do if we really are serious or want to be committed to driving our industrial growth using solar, because again, you said government can't do it alone. So who else should be partner in this?
Yeah. So let me answer this way. Currently, we have companies in this Nigeria. If you have maybe in a school, there's a school in this country. It's not far here. It's just in the do here. It's powered by one of the companies I work for. So what they do is they have all the money, just the way the PSN takes bill from you. You just have an agreement with them. They have all the things, they have all the equipment. They come in, you have an agreement. Okay, how much do you pay per month? Based on the kilowatt you consume. So they come install for you. They do the installation, everything. You don't even need to pay a dime at the beginning. You don't even pay a dime. So it's just based on agreement. When you do every agreement, and at the end of the day, they install for you. After the installation, maybe like after a month, you start paying, just like your normal.
But you have to be a reputable firm to, have access.
Of course. It's not a joke.
You have to be established.
Of course. Do you want to give your money to somebody who will just come and then tomorrow you start asking, you start giving you excuses? Nobody wants to do that. You have to be a reputable company, not just a reputable company. They will do a correct background research on how you have been, and that maybe you are credit worthy or something. They give you everything. Like the school I'm talking about, they move in phases. They have almost moved to about 2 megawatts.
And that's a lot, right?
Yes, it's a lot. Do you know what 2 megawatts would do?
So they have this power.
Yes. No, what they do is that the regulatory body in Nigeria, you can sign an agreement in megawatts. 1 megawatt, 2 megawatt, 3 megawatt, 4 megawatt. You do it in phases based on your capacity.
So how much is 1 megawatt? Because when I say 1 megawatt, it's sounding like 100 1 naira.
It's a lot. It's a lot. It cannot be converted to money.
Maybe we're even talking about tens of millions or even hundreds of millions.
Just hundreds of millions.
Right, just hundreds of millions. I think Priscilla has that financial capacity. But let's not make it look like, because every time we talk about solar, it's almost like it's an elitist kind of thing. It's for big men. It's for people who are middle class and higher. How do we drive this sort of initiative, or if you like, revolution of some kind, to people who live in the hinterland, the rural areas, those who we say live in the villages?
Yeah, I don't want to mention anybody's name. I want to applaud some organization. They do mini grid system.
Mini grid system.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Yes, so what they do is they go into villages, rural areas. There are some other NGOs who come into Nigeria. They go into rural areas. What they do is they install in that area. And just like your normal supply in the house, the way you have PSN and other things, they supply to people.
Free of charge?
Yes.
Wow.
In the rural areas.
These are non-governmental organizations.
Non-governmental organizations. They do it for people. Then there are other people who have little systems that are not too expensive. They take it into the rural areas that can just power their TV, power their fans, and give them little lighting systems.
They can charge their phones.
They can charge their phones. Little things. So when they get there, they tell, okay, this is the cost of this. You pay gradually. It's not like you are paying and they are taking your, you understand. Now, but the challenge they have is that, okay, if you are a farmer, you might not have the opportunity to be able to access such. Because this man is doing business. He doesn't want to run down and he closes his business. So he wants to know your source of income as to doing that. But there's something we do in Pemicom. What we do is we allow you to come in. We have an agreement with you. All right? You pay gradually. Once we know where you live, we do the installation for you. You just gradually offset.
I still have a concern around this idea that the government cannot do it alone. I'll give you a perspective, right? As it stands today, from all we have said so far, and from the very little I know about how this space around solar energy works, it is the private sector that is essentially driving it.
Yes.
Do you think, as an expert in this field, for example, that if the distribution companies, as we know them, whether it's ADC, BDC, whatever of the C's, were to, if you like, divest, as they say in business, all right, pull some of their funding away and plow them, those funds into renewable energy, do you think that would drive our power sector better or faster?
Well, I should tell you the truth.
I'd like to hear the truth.
They are already doing that. All right. The PSCN...
But that is not making it to the news.
Yes. PSCN last year called out to some companies to partner with them. Yes.
In their own office, or
yes, they made a call. No, they made a call.
Are they giving it to the general public?
Yes, I think it was announced.
Really?
I think it was announced. Some people bid for.
No, I'm saying these solutions that they are calling for. Is it to the one to power their office?
No. It's they are going to be feeding the grid. Yes, it's going to feed the grid. I think some of those projects should have started by now.
Sounds massive.
It's a big project. It's a very big project. But before I say anything, you should know people that will get the project.
Right.
It's just
and will it even be carried out is the question.
Yeah,
because sometimes we hear that contracts have been given out, but there's some diversity.
Major problem we have in this country is the right people getting the job. Then you hear how much somebody executes a project. Then you ask yourself how. And even with that ridiculous amount of money, you see the output. Then you ask yourself, you now weigh. When we buy things online, what I ordered versus what I get. I don't know if you have heard that before. Right. So the PSCN, they've taken the step to do that. And they're going into the alternative energy. I think with time, everybody will see it. It will come to limelight. It's not that I'm giving them publicity or something, but the reality.
But you have been optimistic.
Yes.
About how we're progressing.
Yes, they've started the process.
They've started the process. I was part of the process at the beginning, because my company was, I was delegated to be part of the process.
Maybe consulting for them.
Yes. So I was delegated to be part of the process for my company, and we were part of the process. But you know, as time goes on, they streamline and they go for what they want, and I think
they pick someone else.
You must not get all the projects. You can't get all the projects, no matter how good you are. You can't.
You win some, you lose some.
Yes, you win some. It's just part of life. And by the way, everybody cannot do. One person cannot do the job in the whole world.
So we are saying it's a possibility only if we have sincerity of purpose. Only if we have those people at the helm of affairs, you know, carry out this to the latter, be accountable enough. You have the right hands to work with, you know. Talking about the PACN now, and that is the only, you know, point where we get to see the result. For instance, something happens along the line. I mean, we might not get to eventually see, you know, the result of this.
The project might not see the light of the day.
Exactly.
No, some people are watching from behind. It's a big project.
Okay.
That project must see the light of the day.
Oh.
Because that is the only reason. That's just the reality. There are some things you cannot hide. There are some things you can't hide.
Besides, it appears that there's
a lot of money.
There's a substantial private sector interest in it.
Yes, so you can't. Some persons are putting their money into it.
Right.
Private sectors, not even only Nigerian sector. You can't come and put your money into that, and you will not watch it see the light of the day. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. If you are the one, you won't keep quiet. Some persons will have to speak out. And let me tell you, the reality is that some persons behind the scene are big guys in this country. So they will want to see it try. They want to see it. It must see the light of the day. Don't worry, it will come. It will come.
It's giving me hopes that
no. But
what Nigeria has changed.
What I would have expect us to do as individual, right, is not to rely on government to do things for us. Especially when it comes to power. The reason is that if they do it for you, are still going to be paying heavily for it.
So why don't you take charge?
Can
we wrap up now on a note of talking about standards and quality of materials? Sometime between 2020 and 2021, I heard stories personally from a handful of people who are into your line of work. They said some of these panels and other ancillary items that you use for your installation and setup, they come from places where the standards are very low because they know they are coming to Nigeria. And they mentioned even some websites, very popular websites, globally popular websites where people go to buy all of these things at giveaway prices. They come to install at cutthroat prices. Yet those items are substandard. Some of them are outright fake. How do you, people like you who have your teeth cut in the industry, you have a name to protect, you have a brand, you're building and strengthening every day. How do you address such challenges?
Yeah, many times we've been pushing for standard organization to do more. They need to do more. They are trying, but they need to do more. Why I said they need to do more is they have everything it takes to carry out tests on these things.
Right.
They have everything it takes. But sometimes, some of these guys just get to where they are supposed to do what is right, and because somebody shakes you,
right,
and you do, So I think they need to.
Because somebody shakes you.
Yeah. Somebody. I say when somebody shakes you,
right,
then you just you just relax and say, okay, they can just bring one good one, and you carry out the test and you use that
as a standard for the others. One size fits all.
So many times that is the challenge we have. We need the right people with the right perspective, with the right mindset,
right,
to get those things.
Incidentally, I think that's the much we'll be allowed to talk about on this program. But like Priscilla highlighted, you have given us hope that there's lights. Yes, there's light at the end of the tunnel.
At the end of the tunnel.
Well, maybe very soon we will not be shouting NEPA anymore. But we'd like to say a big thank you to Michael Mobolaji, an alternative power specialist. Is also the Chief Executive Officer of Pemicom Solar. Again, we appreciate your insights.
Thank you very much.
Which you have brought to this conversation. This is what we're living it on Global Morning today. Everyone would like to say a big thank you to you for watching. Remember that the thoughts and of course the views of our guests are their opinions, especially as it has to do with expert conversations such as this. I am Uyi Agmofwewe.
And I am Priscilla Obasi, wishing you a beautiful day ahead. Bye.